Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and coffee stream number 223. And it is Wednesday, which means we are here with another episode of Wednesdays with Skep. And truly, Skep Talk, we live in the mirror universe, I believe.
We absolutely do. And interestingly enough, this is Coffee Stream 223. And that was my dorm room number at Northwestern was 223 in Elder Hall. And it is also the beginning of my Social Security number. Now, don't everybody get excited. That is also that's the prefix of a Virginia licensing bureau where millions and millions and millions of people's Social Security number begin with 223. So relax. At any rate, yes. So 223 today.
Yep.
Who knew so long ago? 223 coffee streams ago, you and I thought that the world was strange. We would have said, "Oh yes, the world is very strange.
Yes.
It can't possibly get any weirder."
Yeah. And it was weird then.
It was. We thought we had good reason to think it was weird. We weren't being unreasonable when we said this is very strange. There was strange stuff happening. But look at what's going on now with Chris Cuomo being compared to the stupid brother in a movie and saying that it's racism and being Italian is not a race.
Well,
I don't even know where to start.
If you want to get technical, there is no race other than human.
Yeah, that's... You can say that.
If you really want to get technical, Caucasians and Asians and you know, Black people and Aboriginals and
are humans,
all the same race.
What about horse racing?
Would you? Here's and people are gonna get mad because I'm comparing humans to dogs, but it's an analogy.
Okay.
When you look at a dachshund and you look at a Great Dane,
yes,
are they both not dogs?
Sometimes I don't think dachshunds are dogs, but that's a different story, especially when they act like mine do. But, yeah, I'm talking about you. Yeah, they are, of course.
They are dogs. Now, why do we not look at humans the same way? Like, and it's just right down to, like, you can look at a black dog and a...
You mean an African-American dog?
No, I mean a dog with black fur.
Because I have an African-American dog. Actually, it lives with my stepdaughter. It's a Rhodesian Ridgeback. Ooh, is that racist? Is it supposed to be a Zimbabwe Ridgeback? Oh, that doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it?
Not really.
Anyway, sorry, I digress.
But if you look at the color of a dog's fur,
yes.
Do you think that those dogs are different races?
Depends what they identify as.
Because really, this is what we're doing when we look at skin color.
Right.
Is we're deciding that that humans with different skin color are a different race. When really, they're just a different variant of the species.
That's correct.
That's
a fair point.
I don't understand that logic. And really, that's where you kind of get down to, that's when you start coming up with racism, because why do who decided all those years ago that different skin color meant different race? when scientifically Homo sapiens sapien is the race?
I mean, when you look at DNA, with DNA blueprinting, you can learn a person's hair color and skin color.
Yeah.
Wait for it. With only 70% certainty.
I could buy that.
Okay. So there's a lot we don't know about this stuff. There really truly is. We don't honestly know the science that is behind what causes skin to be colored. I mean, we can say, yeah, it's what are they called? The melanocytes, I think, is what they're called, and melanosomes in the skin that produce melanocytes that are responsible for producing different types of melanin that color the skin, the yellow and brown melanin that color the skin. And there's different pigments that are produced by these things. And so it's the distribution of these things and the type of pigment that they do, but it's controlled by a very complex distribution of genetic stuff that we don't really understand very much about. And so to say, that to type a person by skin color is to take something that we can observe with our eye that we have no understanding of what's in back of. Yeah. We have no understanding of what's in back of. We have no understanding of what hinges on that, what is tied to that, other things that depend on that, other things that are influenced by that. We have nothing, no real appreciation for anything that might be correlated with skin color, other than the observable, you look brown to me, you look pink to me, you look yellow to me, you look red to me. Other than that, we got zip. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're right. In terms of that, it really makes a very, very strong case. I thought you were sort of being humorous, but it actually makes a very strong case for your initial thesis that there is just the human race, and that to say that people are racially different by skin color is to differentiate people by something that we know almost nothing about.
Yeah.
We say, you look different from me, and then we don't really understand why they look different. We don't understand what produces that different distribution of melanocytes that causes people to have different pigmentation. So there you go. That's some of the science, some of the anthropology behind that.
Science is always awesome.
Anthropology with Skep Talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Skiller and Martin have joined us. Hello, you two. Good to have you. Skiller. Gun Fox is here talking about the Dow Jones losing 600 points. I think is what he said. 630 points so far today, it says.
It's a fart in a windstorm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, with the Dow is probably headed for 50,000 in my lifetime, and I don't have a lot of years left. In your lifetime, it'll be at 100,000, easy peasy. If they even use the Dow, the Dow is sort of a silly, it's antiquated. It's based on 30 industrials that are old time industry, and you're probably going to be better served by a tech heavy group of a tech heavy index of some sort. There's Skep the stockbroker. I've done it for
Skep the stockbroker, Skep the anthropologist.
That's right. Skep the naval officer. Skep the drug salesman. Skep the drug cook. Skep the skydiver.
Oh, so we've got, let's see, we've got Chris Cuomo whining and bitching. We've got Hong Kong citizens waving the American flag and singing the national anthem. I'm sure China was just thrilled for that.
Can you imagine? Can you know, what are they doing? They're singing a national anthem of United States, boss. What the fuck? We're gonna crush them. They'll look really bad on TV, boss.
Mass arrests in Hong Kong, says Gunfox.
Have they killed anybody yet?
No.
I heard they had not killed anybody so
far. I am telling you, as I said on Tuesday, I think it was. I said there's going to be another Tiananmen. Yeah. And it's going to make the original.
Your stake in the ground. You sure did.
It's going to make the original Tiananmen look like a parade.
I agreed with you.
It's going to be bad.
I think you're right.
And it's going to be even worse because the Chinese government they footage got out of the 80s one, right? No matter what they did.
That's nothing compared to what's going to get out this time.
Yeah. We didn't have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all that stuff back in the 80s.
Yep.
China, there is nothing China can do to keep the lid on it.
That's the interesting thing is it might be, China is very right to be afraid of social media.
Yeah.
Social media is the thing that can bring a revolution together. And Ocasio-Cortez is smart about it too. Mm-hmm. She knows that you can bring a revolution together, and you can get a bunch of people who aren't very intelligent, who live by their emotions and carry, they're rabble that can be roused and can be directed as a force to sweep away the establishment and put people like her in power. Ocasio-Cortez wants to be Stalin. Yep. She dreams of being Stalin. She truly does. She knows what Stalin was. Believe you me, she knows exactly what Stalin was, and she wants that with every fiber of her being. She sees a world where she's in charge, she's directing things, and everything will be okay as long as she's making all the decisions. It's the mistake every autocrat makes.
Yep. Everything will be totally fine if I run it.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome.
And Lenin thought that. He killed 20 million people. Stalin thought that. He killed 50 million people. Mao thought that. He killed 60 million people. Pol Pot thought that. He killed a quarter of his country. Yeah. It was only 3 million people, but it was 25% of his country. Every single family in that country was touched by his murder.
I don't doubt it.
Evil beyond my ability to express. Just unbelievable. I think she's good for 100 million.
Well, and
I see real potential in the girl.
And think about this is the biggest population that a socialist has ever had the potential to have control over.
Absolutely. And she will look at that and say, there are at least 100 million white people we don't need. And she'll call it a national cleansing. We're going to cleanse from the sins of the past. We're going to give them a humane death. This will be a humane she'll couch it, be injections, and not of lead. It won't be firing squad. It'll be a painless death, and it'll be done for society, for the benefit of society. Be less pollution, and if you have brown skin, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And if you have white skin, it'll depend. You can continue on as a slave, or you can seek the freedom of the seas, as the Vietnamese used to call
it. So Armskiller says, if AOC gets her way, she will have shot herself in the foot because the means she will have used to get to power will be turned against her.
Robespierre's dilemma.
Yep.
I wonder what he thought as they ripped away the bandage from his jaw, put his head in the lynette. What have I done? What have I wrought? What did I do? By then it was just political purity tests. That it was exactly what will happen. You can see this. You can see it happening now.
Did you see that Twitter thread by that Joanna Schrodinger or whatever Joanna Schroeder?
No.
Yesterday was I should try and find it. It was this 20 or 25 tweet thread about how if you have white sons who are teenagers, listen up, because here I'm going to break down how vloggers and social media are using or turning your sons against you and indoctrinating them into white supremacy. And it's insane. She wrote exactly how they indoctrinate the left, and basically is saying that that's how white supremacy is rising up again and indoctrinating white sons, and how you should make them watch certain black or brown comedians.
I've been watching my boys' online behavior and noticed that social media and vloggers are actively laying groundwork in white teens to turn them into alt-right white supremacists. Here's how. What?
Yeah, and it's a long-ass fucking thread.
I won't read it all, but it's a system I believe is purposely created to disillusion white boys away from progressive liberal perspectives. She can't write. First, the boys are inundated by memes featuring subtly racist, sexist, homophobic, anti-Semitic jokes. Being kids, they don't see the nuance and repeat, share. Then they're called out for these jokes, phrases, memes by parents, teachers, kids, mostly girls at school and online. The boys then feel shame and embarrassment, and shame is the force that I believe leads people to their worst decisions. The second step is the boys consuming media with people are just too sensitive and you can't say anything anymore. Themes for these boys, this will ring true. They're getting in trouble for, quote, nothing, end quote. This narrative allows boys to shed the shame, replacing it with anger. This is quite a little universe she lives in. And who is their anger with? Women, feminists, liberals, people of color, gay folks, et cetera, so-called snowflakes. Yeah, because that's what we all think. Just because you're a woman, just because you're a feminist, just because you're a liberal, just because you're people of color, just because you're gay. We hate those people just because of what they are, not because of what they say or what they believe, not because of the nonsense they spout, just because of what they are. Because we are evil conservatives, right?
Yep.
And that is her hate coming out right there. All right, and nobody is there to dismantle the snowflake fallacy. Honey, you just perpetuated your own snowflake. These boys are being set up. They're placed like baseballs on a tee and hit right out of the park. There's so much wrong with this.
Baseballs on a tee?
I know. She's talking about T-ball.
I think she meant T-ball, but okay.
She's this lady has not seen a clue in years. And nobody seems to notice this happening except it seems moms of teenage girls who see the bizarre harassment their daughters endure. This woman cannot write. She does not know how to use comma. She should go to jail for comma abuse. And comma, of course, comma, moms like me who stalk our son's social media. I'll bet you do. I'll bet you're a fucking harridan. These are often boys. Oh God, you're not a mother. You're a nightmare.
Yep.
These are often boys from progressive or moderate families, but their online behavior and viewing habits are often ignored. Here's an early red flag. If your kid says triggered as a joke referring to people being sensitive, he's already being exposed and on his way.
Alarm! Red alert!
Get him to the emergency room. Insert the electrodes into his brain.
Shock therapy must be applied right now.
Oh, good God almighty. Listen to this. Look through his Instagram, explore a screen with him. Explain what's underlying those memes. Program his mind. Explain why triggered isn't a joke. What a PTSD trigger is actually like. Evoke empathy without shaming him. Explain why women are better than men. Why men are evil. Remind him he's a good person, except for the fact that he's a man. And he should want to cut his penis off with a jagged hook. Propaganda makes extreme points of view seem normal by small amounts of exposure over time, all for the purpose of converting people to more extremist points of view. Not like mine. Use my baseball analogy, comma, if you want.
You're wrong, baseball analogy.
I'll continue abusing the commas. Tell your son that he doesn't have to be anybody's fool because he's your bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Have an innate drive toward independence. And once this system is exposed, they're likely to start questioning the memes and vloggers' intentions. That's fine, as long as he doesn't question the catechism that you feed him, the holy feminist, self-castrating feminism of the Holy Feminist Church. Tell him you are always there, always looking over his shoulder, judging, making sure he does not deviate from the party line. Remember, wrong think gets you the hook.
Dude, you should see the comedians she wants you to expose your boys to. Not one of them are female that she lists off.
Our boys want funny guys to relate to. Give them John Mulaney, Hannibal Buress, Hassan Minaj, Neil Brennan, Dave Chappelle. Then talk to your sons about that funny shit. Break it down. Also give them women comics, obviously, but that's beside the point here. Okay.
She doesn't even list any.
Okay, yeah, like Sarah Silverman, maybe not. Okay, show them that progressive comedy isn't about being politically correct or safe. It's often about exposing oppressive system. It's often about exposing oppressive systems because that's so fucking funny. I can't even stand it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Just prove this snowflake garbage once and for all, but not with reasons, not with logic. Okay, just say it's not true. Who is more of a delicate snowflake? The person who gets offended by racism, sexism, and actively wants to help end bigotry by forcing people to say certain things and believe certain illogical things, or the person who is offended by people saying happy holidays instead of Merry Christmas because Merry Christmas is evil? Okay. She's truly batshit crazy. I wish I could get stoned. I need to wash my brain.
Yeah, I needed drugs for that.
Yeah, we all need drugs, I think. I hope you brought enough to share. Thanks to the commenter who shared this thread by journos doing the real work on the subject. Max Fisher, you are a hero. All right, who is Max Fisher? Max Fisher, classic. Manlet, beardlet, head too big, has never had a date in his life, dark circles under his eye. I'm sure he's probably at least gay and HIV positive. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he's proud of it, and there's plenty wrong with that. Oh my God.
What a crazy, and I love how Satsu talked about this last night, and he was just, like, bitch, you were, this is exactly what your side does.
I know. She's so completely unironic about what she's saying. She doesn't realize that she's self-indicting all through this. She's literally doing a takedown of her own side in what she's saying.
Armskiller, if we're not surprised, we're more going, holy shit, look at this ridiculousness. we're more kind of going like, hey, look at this. Because honestly, not much surprises me anymore. We need to move to the moon and get off this planet. Well, did you speaking of that, I can't remember where I heard this, but I think there was an article that was talking about the moonlander that Israel tried to fly and that it ended up crashing on the moon.
What was this? I'm sorry?
Do you remember when Israel tried to land on the moon and their lander crashed?
Yes.
Apparently, they had a bunch of water bears on board in stasis. So there's now a bunch of tardigrades up on the moon.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember what article that was from, but yeah, that was kind of interesting. Hello, silly noob.
Did these tardigrades survive crash landing on the moon? When Israel's Beresheet lunar spacecraft crashed in April 2019, there were thousands of microscopic dehydrated tardigrades, they call water bears, aboard. Huh. Scientists are worried by, did they survive crash landing on the moon? Here's the thing about that. I think they're too big. Tardigrades are too big to survive. See, the stuff that survived on, what was it, Surveyor 4, survived 3 years of, the bacteria.
Yeah.
One of the technicians sneezed on the Surveyor in a clean room, sneezed on it. And the Streptococcus pneumoniae on part of the it was actually some styrofoam. In some of the styrofoam cells, survived all that time, the 3 years, when my dad's buddy, in fact, Jim Irwin, was the guy who brought that back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And he and Pete Conrad. So the thing about tardigrades is they're much larger. I think they're much larger. I'm not positive, but I think they're much, much larger than bacteria. And what's going to happen is they're going to absorb a lot more cosmic rays. They're going to get a lot more radiation.
Yes.
And they have more complicated structures. For one thing, I think they're multicellular organisms, which would make them hundreds of thousands of times the size of bacteria.
Yes.
And as soon as they start, accumulating that radiation, it's just going to nuke them. It's like putting something in a microwave that is 100 quintillion times as powerful as your microwave.
Yeah.
It's with
it's an interesting concept though, because they are one of the hardiest things that Earth has produced.
And they can be, but alpha radiation is alpha radiation.
Yes.
They don't call them space boulders for nothing. I mean, they're basically, depleted helium nuclei, traveling at nearly the speed of light. When they hit anything, it's destroyed. It's just destroyed. It's just gone. It's nothing left.
Yeah.
It's like being in an atom smasher. It really is. In fact, it's like being in CERN. You're talking about those speeds, and they tend to accelerate electrons, I think, in CERN, which are less than 1% the size of the alpha radiation. But can you imagine something, hundreds of times larger, going nearly the speed of light? You just have this enormous amount of energy. And so that's what's hitting these things. Just look up alpha radiation. Just Google alpha radiation. Read about it. That's what solar wind is.
Yeah.
And there's no atmosphere to protect you.
Yeah, Jenny Talwart says small insects can survive fairly high amounts of radiation. Yeah, but can they survive like solar wind radiation though? Like what kind of radiation are you talking about? Man-made radiation, like from?
Well, yeah, you're talking about high energy photons like X-rays. That is basically just pure energy.
Or are you talking about like the atom bomb radiation?
Particle radiation is a different story.
Yeah.
Particle radiation has protons and neutrons.
Yeah.
That that break things and kill people. That's a different story. So
but that's a pretty big contamination either way, though. All those tardigrades on the moon now.
I think this is mostly an excuse to get mad at Israel as much as anything. If it was really something serious, if there was anything serious about it, they would be presenting the evidence that showed how serious it is. But since there's not any real evidence to
see, I would use that as an excuse for an experiment. Hey, let's see. Maybe we can go back in a couple of years and check it out.
What you could do, you could. One of the things you could do would be to put tardigrades up in low Earth orbit.
Yeah.
Where you could expose them to alpha radiation, essentially the same amount of alpha radiation that they would be exposed to, the same amount of solar wind, gamma radiation from cosmic rays that they would on the moon, and then bring them back and see how they did.
Yeah.
The other thing is what do they eat? What do they need to survive? If they have metabolism, they have to eat something.
Yes.
And they need to breathe something. And so, if they
tardigrade, is that how you raid fish sauce? No, it's tardigrade. Like
tardigrade.
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 Like
microscopic 8-legged animals, also known as water bears.
Yeah.
They have the ability to survive for incredibly long periods without food or water, entering a dormant phase where their metabolic functions come to a complete stop. In lab conditions, scientists have brought tardigrades back to life after 10 years in this state. It's not clear how long they could last in the near vacuum of the moon. be interesting. I would like to. Um,
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. Like that would be a interesting experiment to do. Like to see if they could survive the alpha radiation, and then like to do what you said, to put them in low Earth orbit, and then see like if they survive, then like maybe figure out how to go and see what happened up on the moon, because that would be like, I think we should go back to the moon and do some more stuff there.
I agree.
You know, I wonder what kind of stuff we could see if we put up a telescope up there.
Yep, it would be. That's. When nighttime on the moon is pretty ideal viewing.
Yeah.
It might be considered just this side of perfect.
Because you'd get a different angle too for viewing different spots of the sky than you would on Earth, and then you'd have also, you obviously know cloud cover.
You would also have tremendous parallax.
Yeah.
Which means that you can actually see a shift in the position of stars. It's a tiny shift, but it's measurable. And you can deduce a lot of things about the size of stars, the size of planets surrounding stars. You can even deduce some things about the planets that are orbiting those stars.
Yeah.
By having that kind of, yeah, it's a tremendously valuable, would be tremendously valuable, I think. Let's see, one scientist tweeted, the moon is a dead world with no atmosphere, crazy temperature swings, and high radiation. Nothing can happen to dried out husks. That's kind of where I come down on this. Other people are just, I think they're wanting their 15 minutes of fame. You have something called an outreach scientist called Chris Britt. And he says, what if a private company sent a mission to Europa and contaminated it? There are no processes in place to stop it.
See, Europa has more chance of contamination than the moon does, though.
Yeah.
Because Europa has a slight atmosphere.
Yes.
And has water.
The one you could contaminate would be Titan.
Yes.
You could do some damage on Titan, and is it does Ganymede have a? I can't remember if Ganymede is the one I'm thinking of. Ganymede.
Is it a Jovian moon?
It's a Jovian moon. It's the biggest moon.
The biggest moon is not Ganymede, I don't believe. I think it's... There's the 4 big Galilean moons. Callista, Ganymede, Io.
Those are Saturns. Those are Saturnian.
Io is definitely not a Saturnian moon.
Okay.
Neither is Ganymede or Callista.
You might be right.
I'm a huge freaking Jovian nerd. Jupiter both fascinates and terrifies me.
You might be right. Ganymede was the biggest moon around Jupiter. What is the biggest moon around Jupiter?
I know Ganymede is the really oddly shaped moon. Looks kind of like patchworked together. Io is the volcanic moon.
Yeah, Io is.
Callisto.
Io was really dangerous to land on.
Yeah, it's not only is it dangerous to land on because of the volcanism, but it's
Ganymede is the largest satellite in the solar system.
Is it? Okay.
It's larger than Mercury and Pluto and only slightly smaller than Mars. It would easily be classified as a planet if it were orbiting the sun rather than Jupiter. I thought it was, yeah.
God damn, I didn't realize Ganymede was that big.
No, yeah. I remember when it was formed. How old I am. I'm telling you. And
Jupiter.
How many moons does Jupiter have? Can you tell me without looking it up?
63?
67. Very
67?
Good. That's awesome. The largest four are Ganymede, Io, Europa, and Callisto. You're right about that. These four moons are called the Galilean satellites because they were first seen in 1610 by the astronomer and heretic Galileo Galilei. Ganymede is the largest moon in the solar system with a diameter of 3,260 miles.
Wow.
It's almost half the size of Earth. Io has a lot of active volcanoes and is covered with sulfur and smells horrible, if you've ever been there. Callisto may have a water ocean beneath its heavily cratered, icy, rocky surface. Europa, which is covered by a cracked, icy surface, may also have a liquid water ocean. Always trying to keep up with Callisto, you know how they are. The other moons are smaller and have irregular shapes. Most of these small moons are thought to be asteroids which were caught by Jupiter's strong gravity. Interesting stuff.
Gunfox says Jupiter is the solar system's protectorate. It takes most of the hits from Earth. And Silly Noob says, mostly Gunfox, sometimes it slingshots things right into the inner solar system. That is also true. But most of the time, Jupiter saves our asses. Had Jupiter not been there, Shoemaker Levy 9 would have taken out Earth.
Might have.
And there would be no coffee stream. Because that was a
post-apocalypse coffee stream gathered around a campfire.
Yeah. That was a big comment. That was a really big comment. I'm such
took care of business.
Space stuff so fascinates me. Like
me too.
I wish if I wasn't blind, I would probably have visited a place with a telescope more than once in my life. Not tried to buy a telescope.
Oh yeah. It's I still think that's in your future. I would not give up if I were you. I know you don't give up. I've never seen you give up on anything.
I'm cynical enough about the human race that I'm not sure Jupiter is a good thing. Yeah, well.
Jupiter is a good thing.
Yeah.
He's the catcher's mitt for the universe.
Gunfox says Shoemaker Levy 9, if it hit the Earth, would have cracked the Earth. Yeah, probably. It was.
No, it wasn't big enough.
You don't think?
It's not. It was not anywhere near big enough. But it would have likely been an extinction event.
Yeah. If not wiping out the entirety of the human race, it would have been wiped out a very big chunk.
It would have it simply would have made the surface of the Earth uninhabitable.
Yeah.
It's a lot of energy to add.
And, because scientists, it's really cool that they've used the impact of the dinosaur asteroid to kind of figure out what would happen if a large body hits the planet. Because they were able to find, once they found the actual crater.
Yeah, over by the Yucatan Peninsula.
They were able to find fossils and also like geological evidence of basically of what happened and how hot everything got.
And what's the, do they call it the iridium layer?
Yeah.
You go along through the different levels of stuff year after year after year, and all of a sudden there's a layer of iridium. What the hell is that doing?
And the first discovery of it was in Spain.
Right.
To give you an idea of how big this freaking asteroid was. Okay. A scientist in Spain was looking at a cliff.
Yep.
And found a layer of iridium, and he started searching all over the world and found iridium in that exact spot all around the world.
In that strata, yeah.
In that strata, yeah.
Yep.
And it still took them 30 years to find the actual crater. Because he found that discovery of the iridium layer was in the 60s. And they finally found the Chicxulub crater in the late 90s, I think.
Yeah, it was in the 90s. I remember it as being in the 90s. I can't remember when it was. But yeah, and that was 3,500 miles away from where he discovered the iridium.
Yeah. Yep. Silly Noob has a good point. He said Chicxulub killed the dinosaurs and allowed the mammals to flourish. No Chicxulub, most likely no humans. Yeah. Probably.
Allowed those little tiny mammals to get a foothold.
Yep. And, the creatures that could hide survived.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, they became omnivores.
Yep.
And vegans were not the ones that evolved into the success that human beings became.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Vegans are losers. Period. Dot.
Vegans will be the first ones to go in any sort of hardship event.
Yes, correct. Vegans will be prey.
They'll be like, "What do you mean I have to eat these eggs and this poor defenseless animal that you've hunted? More for us. You can starve to death."
Or actually, just stand over there. Turn away from us, please.
Yeah. Pop.
Meat's back on the menu, boys.
Yep. Oh, I love that line from the Two Towers.
Yes, it's so wonderful.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Oh, God. And Pippin and Merry are just like, oh, fuck. We are not in the Shire anymore.
And the next thing that happens, go on, squeal. No one's going to help you now.
And then a big tree comes. I need to watch that movie again.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I do too. That's what we ought to do. That is what we ought to do. We ought to have a director's cut watching party.
Yes.
I've got them. I've got the whole set director's cut.
That sounds like so much fun.
I can do that. I would totally do that. I will. I've watched that so many times. I literally can say every single line in all three movies before it gets said and get almost every word right. Yeah. My wife will not watch them anymore with me.
You're one of those guys. You're one of those people that likes to quote stuff. So am I. Pincalo hates it. He's like, he hates watching Evil Dead with me.
Or Godfather.
Because like he freaking hates watching like any of the Evil Dead trilogy with me because I just won't Like, there's the the line where Ash puts the chainsaw on his arm, and just before Bruce Campbell does it, I'm groovy, like, or it's Pinkola's like, would you stop that? Just watch the movie.
Yeah, we were watching The Godfather the other night, and we got to one point, and oh, Paulie, you ain't gonna be seeing that guy around here no more. Oh, I love movies.
Yeah.
We need to do that. Let's make that an objective. Anyway.
Oh, that's true, Pinkolo. I did used to yell at him for that. I used to yell at him because he used to quote that stuff, and then
so he used to do it, and then he stopped,
and then he stopped, and then I started doing it. That is true.
My wife and I have one movie. It's like our special movie.
Yeah.
It's an old Johnny Depp movie, actually. Benny and June, and we both do it with that movie. And that's a fine movie, by the way. It's definitely a romantic comedy, rom-com. But it's
Pinkolo, you can do it, and now he says he can do it with every movie ever. Like, his memory is so strange. Like, he can remember quotes from movies like that. It's awesome. Like, sometimes he'll quote a movie and I'll forget that that's a line from a movie, and I'll just be like, what? And he'll go, remember from this? And I'll, oh yeah. and it like he can remember quotes that aren't like mainstream quotes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's why I'm like, wait, what? And then he goes, remember that movie? And I'm, oh, right. It's just not a quote that I would remember. So it's kind of impressive. Hello, Gulf City Fright Supremacist. So your grandkids have gone back to school this week, right?
Thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord.
Actually, in point of fact, they're just getting prepared. I had it a week earlier. They technically don't go back till next week, but this week their aunt is getting them all prepared for school.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of a break, and a well-deserved break. And kind of getting back into the Twitterverse, renewing some old online acquaintances. That the summertime just turns into grandkid-orama for me.
Yeah.
And just because there's just like little things that hey, can you go over and get the kids? And now it's 5 kids.
Yeah.
And by the way, pack 5 kids. The youngest of whom is 9 into a RAV4. That's a trick because you got to have 4 in the back seat, and it's but we get it done.
That's impressive.
The oldest 2 are doing really well. Good. Both of them have been institutionalized, criminal institutionalized, and are rehabilitating really, really well.
Good.
And it's, but they're kids that you need to stay close to.
Yeah.
And they've never had anybody who gave a shit about them. And I was telling you that the 3 that my daughter adopted were in 22 foster homes last year.
Wow.
Well, the boy was actually in jail. He spent the year in jail, but the two girls were in 22 foster care units last year, and it's a mess. It's a difficult situation. Foster care is really kind of a mess in Texas right now.
It's foster care is hard. It's
hard.
My father and his ex-wife fostered with the intent to adopt. They adopted 2 siblings. But they spent about 3-4 years as foster parents before they adopted.
See, that's unusual in Texas. In Texas, most foster parents are in it to get the money from the state.
Oh, that happens a lot here too.
Yeah.
That's if you adopt through the Family and Children Services. In Canada, you have to foster first.
I love that.
Or in Ontario, at least.
I think that's wonderful.
And they fostered quite a few like babies and toddlers. And they got, they had the gambit. There were the kids that they were just in temporary foster care because, something had happened. Like the parents weren't bad people, but something, happened. Like maybe there was a mental health crisis or something like that. And the kids needed to go into temporary foster care until the parents could sort themselves out. Or we actually had a baby placed with us who was born addicted to crack. And this woman, she was the 5th child that this woman had, and all of her kids were gone.
Wow.
The baby ended up being placed with her other siblings. There was a family who had adopted all of this woman's kids. So they took the baby, and she was placed with her siblings, which is, what you want.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But just, it was so sad. Like, even after she was brought home from the hospital after the withdrawal and everything, like, she was still a very, very upset baby a lot of the time. Like,
oh my God.
Yes. It was so sad.
Yes.
It took a while for them to get
odds are against a good outcome. I'm sorry, still.
Yeah.
Still now.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
By the way, Gunfox put in a story in my DMs.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. He was saying that breaking news about Kashmir and Pakistan, saying they're going to teach India a lesson.
Now, here's the thing. Kashmir has been a bone of contention between India and Pakistan since 1948.
Yeah.
And, 'twas ever thus, 'twill ever be so. You have a historically, you've had a Indian bureaucracy and a poor Muslim majority in Kashmir. Plus, it's broken down regionally. There are parts of Kashmir that are Hindu majority and parts that are Muslim majority. And the Hindus and the Muslims, do you think Muslims hate Jews? Do you think they hate Jews? You have no idea what hate is. Muslims hate Hindus like you cannot believe. They call them polytheists, and they consider them the worst sort of pagans. They consider them below Jews.
Right.
They hate them with just a belligerence that is hard to completely understand for a Westerner. I certainly don't completely appreciate it, but I've studied that stuff, and it's just amazing. When Pakistan was created, it was created to help solve that problem.
Right.
Back in the day, Pakistan was created because the Hindus were killing the Muslims, and the Muslims were killing the Hindus in India. And so the powers especially the Western powers, said, we're going to create a country, we're going to call it Pakistan, and all the Muslims are going to go there. Okay, they're going to leave India and they're going to go there. All the Hindus in that region are going to leave, including Kashmir. They're supposed to leave Kashmir and go into India. Well, the problem was the Kashmiri Hindus don't consider themselves to be Indians.
Right.
So they stayed in Kashmir. He said, we're Kashmiris. We're not Indians. We're Hindus, but we're not that kind of Hindu.
Yeah.
We're going to stay here. And so the area flooded with Muslims. The Pakistan was created. And by the way, it was basically one big long road of Hindus headed one way and Pakistanis headed the other way. And occasionally fights would break out just by making eye contact. The cars would empty and they would just empty their guns into each other. And then swarms of people would come, loot the cars. If they were drivable, they'd drive them away. And then the caravans would continue their plot.
Good God.
This was at the time that the countries were being, that Pakistan was being created. This is a true story. Very, very well documented. Many books written about this. So the area has been soaked in blood for decades and decades. And, it makes me kind of grin, a grim little grin, when I hear them say, oh, we're going to teach them a lesson this time. Yeah. You guys have been teaching each other the same lesson over and over again, and you all never learn it. And that's that war hurts. War kills innocent people. And go ahead, do it again. Y'all have fun. Be beautiful. I hope that Trump has the intelligence to say, y'all have fun. Do it without us. And I know you both have nukes. Play responsibly.
Yeah.
And understand if you get the big toys out, don't make me come down there.
Yeah.
Idiots. Fucking idiots.
Oh, yeah, Pincalo is saying, I told this story before, when I worked at RIM, Research in Motion. There was a guy who was a prince or something who was from one of the tribes in India. He was telling me that the British caused a crossover between the tribes. I do remember that you told that story. I don't remember all the details of it, though, so I don't want to screw it up. Nuke responsibly, LOL, says Jenny Telwarts. Exactly. Please nuke responsibly.
Remember, if you're going to use nuclear weapons, nuke responsibly.
Yes.
Don't drink and nuke.
Exactly.
And after you nuke, please clean up after yourselves.
Please dispose of all plutonium and uranium waste properly.
Exactly. Others need to use this battlefield as well. Please be considerate. Yeah, actually, Gunny's not wrong.
Yeah.
If nukes are used, China, China is ever the opportunist. They are always looking to the main chance.
Yeah.
And they will sit and they'll perch like a buzzard on a fence, waiting for something to die.
Yep.
And if they would like absolutely nothing better than an excuse to take over a big old chunk of northern Pakistan.
Oh, for sure.
They think that would be absolutely fabulous. There's a lot of
China is the wild card, yeah.
Yeah.
And Pink Hollow says it's retarded any way you look at it. Yep. China's playing the long game. Yeah.
China always plays the long game. That's absolutely true, though.
Well, when you've been around for how many thousands of years?
It's a long game.
It's a long game. Yeah.
It's a long-ass game.
China has to be one of the oldest countries.
As countries go, probably the oldest country, country, probably is going to be Greece.
Yeah.
But
Greece, China, and Egypt.
Yeah. Also Japan, believe it or not.
Yeah, Japan too. That's true.
And India as a country is relatively new.
Mm-hmm.
There were lots of states in India that were countries. The thing is, there were lots of smaller countries.
Yeah. India is probably the oldest, well, one of the oldest settled places.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But country-wise,
yeah,
it's pretty young still.
Yeah, but Greece and Italy are two very, very old settled places. China is an old settled place. You know, and of course, all of the area in the Mesopotamia area,
yeah,
and that north central part of Africa, kind of where South Sudan and Ethiopia and Kenya will come together,
yeah,
all the way north up the Nile, kind of paralleling the Red Sea, you know, on the kind of the right side of Egypt, the east side of Egypt. And it's all been settled for a long time. And, on up through Syria and then the far western part of Iran, also, the northern part of Iraq. It's all been settled for a long time. Anyway, yeah, it's it ain't like what it used to be, though.
Nope.
Yeah, I was looking at the map and what China could want to do, and what China would really like to do as much as anything, I think, is China would probably like that they'd probably like that Wakhan corridor of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
You know, that long spindly piece of Afghanistan that kind of reaches into the and kind of forms a buffer between Tajikistan and Pakistan.
Yeah.
And they would like to take that and take that northern spur of Pakistan, and they would have a way around India. If there's any way they could take enough of Pakistan to get all the way down to the Indian Ocean, I think they would love that in a major way.
Oh, for sure.
You know, they'd have to kill an awful lot of people. They'd have to kill 100 million people to do that, because they'd have to wipe out Karachi, and that's 50 million people. So it's you know, it becomes prohibitive to, just because of the number of people you have to kill. It's just inconvenient. It's better to not conquer them and conquer them economically, which is kind of what China. That's kind of what China has decided to do instead. Is conquer things economically. That's sort of what they tell themselves. That's what they're doing with the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah. They think that that by forcing us into a balance of trade deficit year after year after year, that's a bad thing. They don't realize that all they're doing is turning us into a fabulously successful grocery store.
Yeah.
or fabulously successful Walmart really is what we are.
Pinkalo says, this is why I'm very glad that Russia occupies my family heritage country. I don't have to worry about China or the Arabs or any of that shit. Just a big kaboom from Russia. Yeah. And then Gunfox says China wants to get a port that is not blocked by the U.S. and its allies like it is now.
You mean a warm water port?
Yeah, I think that's what he means.
That's better than Vladivostok. That's not wrong.
Yeah.
That's Murmansk is not contiguous to Big Russia. I don't think it counts. And anyway, the Barents Sea is. I'm not sure if that is icebound or not.
Yeah, Gunfox just confirmed, yes, warm water port.
Is Murmansk icebound?
I don't know if the whole Bering Sea is. Wait, where does the Bering Sea go? Like, where is the Bering Sea?
Yes. The port of Murmansk remains ice-free year-round due to the warm North Atlantic currents.
Okay.
I was thinking, and it is an important fishing and shipping. So, Murmansk is technically a year-round Russian warm water port that's not Vladivostok. The bad news is it's in that part of Russia that is not contiguous to Mother Russia. It's in that chunk that was inconveniently divided up by the fall of the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And it's in the, it's kind of in the whole, how Hawaii is not contiguous to the United States, or Alaska is not contiguous to the 48 states. Russia has something like that too in Eastern Europe, and Murmansk is the port.
So Gunfox was talking about that China wanted a port that's not controlled by the U.S. or its allies. That's probably
China's got plenty of ports. What do you mean? China's got ports out the wazoo. What is the lad saying? Let me see what the boy is saying. China wants to get a port that is not blocked in by the U.S. and its allies like they are now. If you look at China's ports now, what ports? They've got Wenzhou, Taizhou, Fuzhou, Quanzhou, Xiamen, Shantou. They've got more ports than Carter has little pills. Holy shit, dude! I don't understand. I just don't understand your comment. That's all. I mean, those are all strategic.
Yeah, I don't know that particular.
Yeah,
geopolitical.
I do. I read naval proceedings. I still get it. Every naval officer gets a free subscription to it.
Oh wow, that's kind of.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You get the strategic stuff. Well, yeah, that's true. They can all be blockaded, but Gunny, if we blockaded all their ports, we wouldn't have any ships left.
No. That would be strategically a really silly thing to do.
Yeah.
Is to waste all of your ships on blockading all of the ports of China.
Right. There are other. You don't really blockade ports anyway in modern warfare the way that you think of, like in the Civil War, where there's a literal blockade. What you do is you say, I've got a bunch of, F-16s, fast attack with, harm and Hellfire missiles on them that can scramble to your port in 15 minutes. If they see a cargo ship going in there, that cargo ship is going to line the bottom of the port. Just so and you let them know that, and that port is, you can. That's a very efficient way to control the in and out of a port, and you send a couple of ships to the bottom to underscore your point.
Yeah,
and then you have a few F-22 air superiority and F-15 air superiority guys up there to make sure that there aren't any bothersome Air Force types from under other flags to contest the air.
Yeah.
And they're your bitch, basically.
Exactly. Look at the spectrum of conversation we've run today. We've gone from whiny news reporters to stupid feminists on Twitter to space to geopolitics. We've run the gambit. And
I love the stuff that Gunfox brings up. Of everybody on the stream, he is a standout in terms of bringing interesting stuff to the stream and interesting ideas to the stream.
Absolutely.
I really truly do.
Oh my goodness, but I need to go to the washroom and stretch a little bit. My back is killing me. So I think we're going to have to end at this juncture. However, if you guys haven't had enough of Blind and Skep, join us tonight at 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central on the Minions of the Zoo channel, because it's Wednesday and it's Skep Talks night, and Yay. I will be there. So,
outstanding.
I hope everyone can make it. And then I'll be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. with another coffee stream. Friday, like I said, I'm probably going to just open it up for call-ins. And I'll get back to booking regular guests when school is back in session. And can devote a full 2 hours to a guest day.
Don't forget Star Trek stream.
And the Star Trek stream this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. We're doing Hammer's Picks, which are the Doomsday Machine, the Omega Glory, and Let That Be Your Last Battlefield.
Which was on my list.
Oh no!
Yeah, he got one of mine. Mine was The Trouble with Tribbles, Let This Be Your Last Battlefield, and the Corbomite.
Court Martial?
No, the Corbomite maneuver.
Or the Corbomite, okay. So are you gonna pick
I'm gonna pick another one.
Another one?
Yep.
You're gonna surprise me. All right.
Because there's like 4 or 5. I'm gonna go back and rewatch a couple of them.
Yeah. I'm going last with the original series picks because I know the least about the original series and I have to rewatch. So I'm letting all of you guys go and then I'm going to pick mine.
All right. Very good.
So I hope everyone can tune in for all of those fun things. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I want to thank Skep for joining me as always. It's a blast.
Thank you for having me on. It's great fun as always.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, and I can't wait to see you again tonight. So
yeah.
come and watch that, guys. And
we always have fun, guys.
We always do. And with that, that's the show, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.